All right, welcome to the Court of Connection. Today feels really special to me because it's someone I didn't meet in passing. I got to witness her. We met inside of a small group at a thing called Bridge and Extreme, which has been absolutely life-changing. And that space invited honesty, reflection, and really looking at myself. And what stood out to me the most about her is her depth, the way that she holds containment, the way that she speaks, the way that she holds truth and compassion at the same time. And she's got some pretty badass dance moves. So I'm so excited to have you here, Linda.
Well, thank you so much. I love it. Thank you so much for those words. And I feel you in that and just very much appreciate you. And I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm stoked to have you on the show. You have such a similar energy to me, and I immediately gravitated towards you, and I was like, I want to be around her. I love her.
Yeah, totally. Yes, I felt that. Yeah, you just that depth, but also just fun energy, dynamic. That's one of the words that comes to mind when I think of you, Danielle. Just dynamic, many layers, and just really beautiful to have been a witness, of your bridge and your extreme, and just kind of be able to. It's just always so amazing to watch other people experience it, because I got to experience it back in April of last year, and having the honor of being a guardian is just it's hard to find words to even describe it. So yeah, you're incredible.
Thank you so much.
Course.
Well, can you tell us a little bit about, before we jump in, can you tell us a little bit about what your life, how your life has changed since going through Bridge and Extreme?
Oh God, yeah. I think that the biggest, I'll use kind of just words that come to mind first, and then fill in the blanks a little bit. Conscious, more embodied, presence, love, and a deep, deep appreciation for this thing called life. Yeah. I didn't, so I went into Bridge and because I had seen a podcast with Preston and Alexi, their first Sacred Thomas podcast. And I had been following them for years, like since almost, it was kind of when they first came on the scene, and just I always resonated with what they're saying, and just kind of, followed them, but never really didn't do, kind of just any programs, or just kind of just followed them. Just, I was like, I enjoy these humans. There's something, I want to know these humans. I want to keep in knowing them. And then just the podcast came out, and it had been a little bit since I kind of like saw them on Instagram, or caught kind of caught them in the passing of the the interwebs. And I just remember that podcast, they were talking about relationship, and they were talking about relationship as they are a couple and married, but also like the evolving relationships that they have had with them within themselves, right? And what I picked up on, not only of what the words they were saying, but the embodiment of living it now. So it's like it was so felt of how they are not only talking the talk, but they walked through the fire. And I was like, oh, okay, I want to know, I want to learn from them. And they mentioned Bridge in it. So I kind of went into Bridge thinking it's going to be this more like relationship thing. And so I mean, I didn't really know, what I knew, what I knew was they spoke a lot about nervous system, right? They spoke a lot about within the podcast about, they both had to come to terms with their patterns, their identities, right? They had to come to a really real mirror and look themselves as individuals in that mirror and be like, okay, what's my part, right?
Mm.
And the unraveling of that, and then as a couple, right? So I knew that, but I really didn't. I mean, they just said it, and I was like, I want to learn from these people, so I'm going to sign up. And then like 30 minutes into bridge, I was like, oh, okay, this is what this is about. And I was like, all right, let's do it. But I also knew within 30 minutes, I was like, oh no, I'm in the right place. Definitely not what I thought I was going to be doing, but I'm in the right space. Because I think it was I don't know if it was 30 minutes or an hour, but all I knew is in that time period, it was the drop-in was like, we're all kind of in the same space, so to speak, meaning like none of us are immune to this thing called life, and we're all feeling it. And what I really appreciated about Bridge and Extreme is that both men and women are there. And that was really important to me because, I'm very much in the space of seeking partnership, like of calling in a partner, right? And I know that a gap for me was really understanding men more, like really kind of getting a feel for what it is that they experience in this thing, right, called life. And what Bridge and Extreme did was just provide me a window into that, and to really look to understand that we're so much similar. We're just much more similar than we are led to believe on social media and other kind of outlets. So yeah, it's hard to put into words what actually happens in those rooms, and it is really much something that you have to experience to get. But it's like life shifted completely. My relationships changed because I became more present in myself. I became more clear on who I want, who I am, like who I actually be, not the kind of default mode of how I was living, in terms of, my patterns are very much perfectionism, overachieving, good girl, and they still are there. Like they're not, so I always say I'm a recovering perfectionist, but because now I have so many more tools and the understanding that I get to choose. Like I didn't, you for so long you're in that subconscious just go default pattern. And then once you have the opportunity to really sit in a room and be in a room with other individuals who are all working on the same thing, and then we all get to be mirrors of one another, and we all get to experience this, and experience then also our bodies, our nervous systems reacting to it, and flex those muscles and build that, that capacity. I mean, you don't have a choice. Life is going to change, and you can come along. You can come along with it right after something like Bridge and Extreme, or you can try to go back. But I personally think it's impossible to go back to the way that I was after Bridge and Extreme, because it's just, I feel so much more whole. What about you? I mean, I know it's been fairly recent, but like what's been what came up for you since then? What's been really kind of landing?
Yeah. So much of what you said really deeply resonated. It took me back to back to my first day, in Bridge, where I kind of had an idea. I didn't know exactly what went on at Bridge, but I had an idea of what I was up against. So that's where it might've been a little different between you and I, but you still don't know until you're sitting in that tension and you're like, oh shit. Like this is about to get real, I mean, they right out of the gate, it's like, all right, you know, here's what we're doing. And you're like, fuck, you know,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
it's just as you know, a continual build on of like more and more and more capacity.
Yeah.
And I think too, I don't know how somebody goes back to
Yeah.
the life that they lived without it being just absolutely painful. Because I've been confronted, you know, before we started, I chatted a little bit, but I've been confronted multiple times with real life things and have been given, we always have a choice, right? And the choice is, are you going to revert or are you going to step into something different?
Mm-hmm.
And I actually did an episode last night by myself about this, where it's like, I felt like I had no choice but to step out, you know, and stretch the capacity and do something different. And I don't know if that's just like my soul drive or like like just who I am. I just don't think you end up in a place like Bridge and Extreme without a deep desire to be your best version, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it has given me a bigger voice. It has given me the ability to my huge thing is also the good girl. That's probably my number one. And I'd say perfectionism and how people view me. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have gotten a little messy. I've been like, oh, it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
And honestly, there's been a part of me that's like fuck around and fight, like get messy. Like, you know what I mean? Like I have that desire in me now more than I ever have, where I'm like, yeah, view me fucked up. Like, yeah, let me get a little like I want to play in the dirt more.
Yeah.
And so I'm really excited to see like how that continues to unfold. But so far it's not life or death. When you think
Yeah.
it's life or death, you think, you know, your nervous system really does believe like, oh God, if I do that, I will die, you know?
Yes. Yes.
And so I think that's the best thing about what Bridge gave me, is that it was the edge stretch every time that you think you're going to die, you know, it's like, oh shit, that was the boogeyman in the closet. Like you're so much more capable than you think.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, so conversations, I've had a lot more honest conversations. I have allowed myself to be more messy. I've really been able to take more control over my system so that I have more access to choice, you know?
Yeah.
And what I'm working on now is really opening the door around play and pleasure, because that is a part that has not really been played with.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. I feel
yeah.
that. Yep.
Yeah.
And I consider myself, so it's really, I similarly also still very much stretching into play and pleasure, right? I definitely was someone, the other thing that really came out of my experience with Bridge was just really understanding how much time and imbalance I was in my masculine, right? So much more of that hyper masculine energy, right? Um, the to-do list, the get it done, the just like the containment, just, you know, having it all together all the time, productivity, doing the damn thing, you know, and even before walking into Bridge, I thought I had done, you know, a pretty good amount of work.
Same.
And that was one of the biggest pieces of feedback that I got from one of the coaches in the room. And, you know, they said it, and it was pretty direct, but also, you know, with a lot of love. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'm completely, not completely, but dance has always been my saving grace in that way. I think dance has always, as long as I've done it, which is now, God, over like almost 20 years at this point, it's been that thing that's allowed me to continually have that connection to my feminine, that kind of flow and that kind of just creativity that comes out, that kind of wild feminine energy.
Yes.
And when I had my own studio, it also became a thing that put me in, that I chose to kind of stay in that more masculine side, because it now was a business.
Yep.
So it was really interesting to kind of just come to that realization of, okay, I need to lean more into the creative side of me again. like that, just that flow and just being. And yeah, I think that's one of the other biggest shifts since Bridge and Extreme is just my continued allowance for myself that, you know, as I sit here right now, and as you sit here right now, like, that's it. We're enough. Like, we're here. Like, there's nothing to prove. Right? There's purpose. Right? And like, for me, I very much believe that dance was and is my purpose. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Dance was one of those things that came into my life because I listened to the whispers. Right? So that voice, the voice that comes from here, that life force, right? Versus the one that comes from here. And in the beginning, when I first listened to that voice and I stepped into my studio and I had my first lesson on the spot, what I knew is like my purpose was to dance. Like, I need to learn to dance. This is my thing. This is my outlet. It cracked me open. And then over time, it evolved into, okay, teaching dance is now something. My purpose is now tied to teaching dance, right? And now, and that led me to building a studio, and then we sold this, and then we sold it, and then it's evolved to me. What I very much now kind of focus on with my coaching is helping women find their dance. And it doesn't mean like you have to dance, but like, to your point, listen to those whispers, and let's fuck around and find out a little bit.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean, and I think what's really interesting is like, you hear something like fuck around and find out, and you feel like it kind of has this like connotation, like it has to be big, right? But for someone, that just might be a class they've been looking at for like over 2 years that they know that they want to take, but for some reason it's like, no, I can't do that. Right?
Yeah.
But it's there for a reason. And it doesn't mean that maybe you're going to be the next artist or the next whatever, but whatever that class is, you're meant to go through it to get to, it's just part of it. It's part of this thing called life. And dance has been a huge portal for me. And that consistent savior that has led me to reconnecting with my feminine side, to have more flow and that more creative side, and more pleasure and more play. And I continue to lean into that more and more. And, I just got back to like painting again, which has been, so much fun, and writing more, and meeting new people, and, putting things on my calendar that I normally wouldn't do. Right. And just for fun, because it feels like that's what I need to do. I'm going to go do that over there.
I love that.
Yeah.
You said so much. I'm like, what do I want to tap on here?
Sorry.
No, it's beautiful. I love your aliveness around dance, and I'd love to know, you talk about whisper versus override, right? Which you explained a little bit, and it's essentially what we're talking about. It's like when I'm in nervous system override, I can't hear the whisper, right? And so slowing down enough and regulating enough allows me to hear the whisper. And it's so funny. I posted something so similar today on Instagram and did a little reel. But my question is, when did you find dance in life? Like, and what was your journey like with that? Because I love dance, but I have a lot of insecurity around like full out. I've done a lot of I've been in drag productions. I've done hip hop. I've been on stage.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I've been on stage and done things like that, but like there is something there for me, but I tell myself that it's not easy for me, so it's not easy for me, right? So anyways,
right.
That was a loaded question, but tell me about your experience with dance. What led to...
That's so interesting. Before I share mine, can I respond to,
Please.
So my experience of you dancing is just like, it's for you. Like, it's just you light up. You're like, it's just, you're oozing light. Yeah. So I'll just say that. And I enjoyed sharing moments of dance with you when we were together. So I've always loved to dance. When I was little, I played sports. We didn't have the money for me to dance, but I always loved, like I grew up in, I'm an 80s baby. So I grew up in, MTV era, music videos, the grind, TRL, all of it. Right. So that was my jam. I used to sneak watching it because my parents were like, you shouldn't watch that. And I'm like, what? I was just obsessed with music videos. I loved the choreography. I was obsessed. So I always, and I used to watch those PBS specials of ballroom dancing with my mom all the time. And I was just enamored by the entire thing. I was just the women and the gowns and all the different personalities and the way the men would lead them. I was like, this is amazing. And so never danced when I was a kid. Danced like by myself, like, for fun, but not, any sort of lessons. And then in my mid-20s, I was living in Norwalk, Connecticut. I would always drive by this Fred Astaire dance studio. And every time I would drive by that studio, there was this voice that was like, you should go in there, go in. And I didn't listen to it. I heard it, but I didn't act on it for a very long time. Until one Thanksgiving break, I had extra time from work. And I was like, that's it. I'm going to walk in and see what this is all about. And I walked in and I literally had my first lesson on the spot. And I left that studio feeling like there was a piece of my soul that was filled in a way that I had, like, it was just like, it just filled me in such a special way. And I knew, okay, this is something I have to keep doing. This is meant for me. Right. And, I danced, for, I think it was like almost 9 years. I think I did ball, something like that. And I competed. And as and the more I danced, the more I just wanted to dance. And all I knew at the time, Danielle, was like, it just felt so good. I just felt so damn good doing it. That's it. That's all I needed to know. And now having the understanding and the language and kind of like the bigger picture of it all, what I fully recognize is that dance brought me back into my body after years of disassociation from things like disordered eating.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It brought me back into like feeling and connecting to all of these sides of me. Right? This fierce tango goddess, this soft waltz queen, like, this fun and, cha-cha, all of it. Yeah. It just provided me a safe space to be all of it. It was welcome. Right? Yeah. Yeah. And because we all have it, especially us. I mean, we all have, especially women, like we're so fucking amazing that we're just so amazing.
Yes.
So, yeah. And from all of that, so much confidence, and I've met new people, and and then with that, I started to like bead bracelets and do more art and just and enjoy. At dance, I always said, like, dance added color to my life. That's Life in Color was born. My brand Life in Color was born from dance. It started just as an umbrella that I would run movement class, dance or fitness classes under, and then it has evolved from there as I have evolved. But like dance turned what felt some days as a very black and white world to like full crayon box.
So beautiful. What a beautiful, the whisper really does take us to, it leads us to the doors that open up life, that open up creativity, that open up our soul. It's the door to our soul.
Exactly.
The
whisper is your soul.
Yes.
And that's God, or whatever word you want to use. 1,000%.
Yep. Oh my gosh. So you mentioned history of an eating disorder. I have a history of that too, and you also talk, a lot of your work is around hormonal health. So tell me about your experience and how those two kind of weave together.
Yeah. So I mean, any disordered eating, I did not. I have much of my, I would say, at least half of my life, I struggled with my body image. I like I was saying before, I don't know, before we got on, recovering perfectionist, right? Always, like till the day I die, I will be a recovering perfectionist, just somewhere along that path. And, when I was younger, I thought health was related to like a diet, like, whatever the latest diet was what I needed to do to be healthy.
Yep.
Right. So whatever the fad diet was, I was in it because I wanted to be healthy. And I remember, comparison at such a young age in terms of like what my body looked like to what other girls' bodies look like. And there was also this layer that I was very attuned to of what kind of attention what girls got from boys.
Yeah.
I was just very attuned to it. And I didn't like, it was just like, I did it. It was like, well, I was like, why am I, and it was funny. Cause like, I think there was moments when I was hearing like, why am I so like, why am I so attuned to this? I didn't use the word attuned when I was, 8, but, it was something that I was very consciously aware of, that I paid attention to, and what was different about me versus them, and what kind of attention, and what kind of girls boys paid attention to. And I developed this story that in order for me to be loved and seen and eventually like be, in a relationship, I needed to look a certain way.
Yeah.
And how I translated that into action was, a lot of dieting, and overworking out. And I just never felt that and all of that led to hormonal imbalances, which, just essentially compound the issue, or compound the challenge of it all. Right.
Yes.
So dance, part of what dance also did, because it kind of brought me back home into my body, I wanted my relationship started to shift with food and with fitness, in the realm of, I wanted to be healthier so that I could dance better, if that makes sense.
100%.
And it became less about an image and more about like the feeling of health at that point. Right. So in that way, dance also helped me to start thinking differently about what I was doing for so long when it came to like nutrition and things like that. And then I was fortunate enough to attend a conference with Dr. Mark Hyman. I don't know if you're familiar with him, but he's very big in like the functional health space. And he wrote a book. He just had released a book called Eat Fat, Get Fit. And I was like, what's that about? And he really uncovered a lot of just things that I thought were true. And he just was like, this is not true. So, for example, I always thought that when you eat fat makes you fat. Not true.
Right. Right.
Not true.
Essential for you, especially women.
Essential. Right. So, and then, especially for women. Exactly.
Hold on.
And yeah, all good.
I thought I put this on.
Amazing.
I thought I put it on Do Not Disturb.
Solid.
It's like, when your the people that are favorites in your phone can override Do Not Disturb. Anyway, okay. Sorry about that.
You're not a favorite anymore. No, just kidding. But I remember attending the conference and him just basically putting the kibosh on so many things I thought were true. And I just walked out and I was like, okay, I'm going to go get that book. And I'm just going to really start to understand what is going on in here, and, what I need to, what I really should be doing for myself. And from that point on, I just wanted to learn more. He said he really spoke a lot to like, the fat-free revolution, how basically fat was just, we took out the fat and put the sugar back in. And that just like catapulted not only, myself, but just the rest of this country into just a ton of health related issues, because ultimately, depending on what kind of carbohydrates you eat, it's the excess carbs that will then get turned into fat if you're not, burning at a certain rate, right? So I was like, this is wild. And then on top of that, you need fat for hormonal balance, because a lot of our hormones actually come from the fat that you eat. It's a precursor to actually creating the certain hormones in our body. So it's just, I now fully understand that food is information.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it is culture, and yes, all those things, but at the root, it's like, if I want to be the best me, I need to be putting in the best information possible. Yeah. And that is healthy fats, protein, a colorful plate of vegetables and fruits. And so that really, and I just think that the more that I started to listen to those voices, and the more I implemented those actions and saw and felt the changes in my body, it was like the evidence was there. I kept building the body of evidence to put to the side those beliefs and all the shenanigans I used to do, to now say, okay, no, this is, and again, tapping into how I feel.
Yeah.
And I think that that's a big piece that I also work with clients on is, well, how do you feel, when you're eating whatever, fill in the blanks? Yeah. Is that actually working for you? Yeah. Because our bodies are always talking to us. Always. Right. Yeah. And for my many years when I was disordered eating and overworking out, I did not listen to my body. Mm-hmm. And that led me into like a hip I have a new hip, all of it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it'll keep talking until it's like, okay, yep, we're gonna put you down.
Gonna force you to do something about it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I had such a similar experience in the realm of diet. The problem is that there's so much fucking information that they confuse the shit out of you, right? Sure. And I felt so confused. And it was like this is the new thing. Oh shit, I've been doing it wrong. And then I'd adopt all these new beliefs, and then this is bad. And before I knew it, I was in this place where I had so much fear around food.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I was basically eating at this point it ended with carnivore. So I had gone through this whole thing. I went through this whole meal plan thing where I was eating 1,100 calories a day. It was fucking crazy. And I'm feeling like shit. I'm tired. I'm, just gassed all the time. Then it switches to carnivore because I see some shit on carnivore, and then I'm doing that whole deal. And before you know it, like, I am deathly afraid of fucking food whenever food used to be something that I enjoyed, Yeah, totally. And so I hit a bottom around that and was really forced to look at everything and get what information is true and real, like what actually makes your body work and what have I been fed that's not true. And I had to get a nutritionist and work with a therapist who specialized in eating disorders. And it was like a whole fucking thing. But I remember I went on the intuitive eating journey, and it was terrifying. It was terrifying because they were basically asking me to challenge everything that I thought I knew.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was like, I remember being on my bedroom floor as I'm going through this process. I'm putting on some weight, which they're like, trust the process. I'm like, I can't fucking trust the process, so but true. I did. I was kicking and screaming, but I laugh now, but it was like the most pain I've ever been in my life. I'm literally on my bedroom floor throwing a tantrum every day, getting ready, putting clothes on, where I'm just like,
so real. It's so real.
Oh, I hate this, and that whole journey took me in the same direction, where it was like, I want to feel optimal. I want to be optimal. I want to do this not for a certain body, but for overall health and to feel good, and because my story is slightly different. where I was doing hardcore dieting, but I was like bodybuilding for
Oh,
years.
wow. Yeah. That's
And so
another
it was,
layer.
yes. And so it was, I had
Mm,
a whole ego death around that because that was my identity for so long too. And all of
sure.
that to say that it fucked my hormones up.
Yeah.
My hormones were so fucked up by the end of that.
Yeah.
I ended up completely like my testosterone was completely depleted, progesterone was fucked up. You know, all of that was, and I came to this place where my brain wasn't functioning.
Totally.
Like,
Yeah. Like brain fog consistently
yes,
almost. Yeah.
all the time, and I'm counteracting that with like tons of caffeine because I just have to get through the day. And so many of us are just like operating that way, as you know, this is your expertise, but operating that way and just like don't feel like they have a solution.
Yeah. 1,000%. And I think, and the other component too is, the adrenal burnout. And that's really happened. That's what really happened to me too, is, on top of it all, throughout all of this consistent stress around food and how do I look and am I enough? Am I, like, all the things, right? Is this kind of low or high grade at times, fight, flight space that you're living, or freeze that you're living in basically 24/7, which is just a cortisol, just a sea of cortisol at all times, right? And those cortisol is pumped out by your adrenals, and then eventually it's just your adrenals kind of slow down because and cortisol is important. We actually need cortisol, just not 24/7, 7 days a week, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So yeah, that was and similar to you for different reasons to get there, but of getting there. But yeah, I mean, I remember there was a time during COVID where I just this is when I was still owning the studio and just going and teaching however many, like 15 to 20 classes a week, choreographing, all the things. And I just remember waking up for what felt like 2 months and I just cried. Right. And I just cried because I was like, I don't have it. I don't, it was just this feeling of, why do I have, why, why? And another thing that, another whisper that really helped me too was going to hypnotherapy. That really helped with that.
Wow.
Time in my journey of, because it is really a journey, right? I mean, I remember a friend of mine asked me at one point, will I ever get to, are you in a space where you really never think about it ever? And I was like, not ever, because I still have my moments, but those are far less than, the good moments at this point. So it's like, I don't think, maybe I will get to a place where I never think about it. I hope so. I hope that women as a whole, we can get to that. I really, that is a hope. That is definitely a dream of mine, where as a collective, we have kind of overshadowed all of the negative and the images that are just forced upon us day in and day out, that they're just like overrun by a brilliant cornucopia of all different sizes and all different flavors and all the things, all different women and all that goodness. But sorry, I went off at a little tangent there, but
no. I get it, because I have a lot
what
of,
was I talking about?
I don't know, but I want to tap on that, because I think the problem is the fucking industry, societal, like the societal views of what attractive is and what beautiful is, and all of that is like, I don't know that we'll ever get to escape it fully. And so I do think on some level we'll have to face it here and there, right? And just be like, and come back to our own truth, right? Which is what you're saying. It's like, yeah, the hope is that it'll go away one day. And I do think that it becomes a low buzzing hum, right? That doesn't really play a huge factor in your life anymore, right?
Yes.
But it's certainly, I know for me, I get this summer rolls around and I'm like, you know, I'm like, there's a part of me that's like, okay, you know, that I have to work through sometimes where I'm like wearing less clothes, you know, it's an old behavior and thought of mine that I hated that back then, you know?
Yeah. And I think, and I don't know if you agree with this, I think the other difference too is the thoughts come up, but I cycle through them that much faster because now I have the tools.
Yes. Yes. 100%.
So many more tools. And that's, you know, kind of a big factor of it as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. I completely forgot that what I was talking about before. So I can't go back. I can't go back to finish that thought.
I think what we can do is kind of tie in, like you've spoken a little bit about it, but what all does your coaching encompass?
Yeah. So I consider it holistic health coaching for women, and I work a lot with women kind of in this midlife stage, right? So within 40 to 45, and you know, a little bit older, younger, depending on, you know, where you're at. And it really does revolve around, like I was saying before, helping women find their dance. And what that means, though, that looks different for everybody, right? So at the core, though, we start with the foundation. So what does your plate look like? What are your routines? Are they supporting you, right? What's your movement? So what's like those foundational level kind of health? And the reason we start there, even it's your nutrition and your movement are not all your health, but they are a big foundation that you stand on that supports everything else. So it really is that kind of like bottom layer. So that's where I start. And then depending on, you know, we look at your wheel of life, what's feeling really good and what's feeling not so good, right? So and where there's feeling, you know, not so good, if we're like on a scale, you know, under, let's just say 5 or 5 or under, okay, where do you want to start? Pick one. And let's just start to dive in on, okay, and what's your most ideal vision of what this would look like, right? So if it's your career, that's really, you know, what is it that you want to be doing? And you close your eyes, you imagine yourself doing what it is like you feel like you're meant to do. Or, you know, maybe it's at your job and it's just like, maybe it's some people need to quit or whatever it is. You're imagining your ideal. And then it's, okay, what has to change in order to get there? Yeah. And then once you open up that conversation, well, now you're opening up to the stories, the patterns, the routines, the rituals. Are you listening to, who are you listening to? What stories are coming up? Whose story is it? Are you the narrator? Is someone else narrating? And from there, we just kind of keep going. And, you know, kind of, we set goals, of course, but it's so much more fluid than that, right? It's really about, I want to help my clients feel that they've come back home. Right? Beautiful. That they've come back, they found themselves. And you do that through setting the foundation and then finding your dance, so to speak.
Yeah. I love that. I think so many people underestimate the little small decisions we make throughout the day, but they're actually the biggest decision of our life, right? That's something that I've learned in the last, you know, year. And then especially going into Bridge and Extreme, it's like, it really is the little micro decisions that actually mean so much more, because then they make the big decisions so much easier to make, so much clearer, right? They don't feel so big because I'm constantly, you know, making those small little things matter. So
absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, I have non-negotiables, and that's what I work a lot with clients on too. Like, you need to create some non-negotiables. My morning ritual, non-negotiable. I will not negotiate that with anybody. I will maybe shorten it. Like, I'll kind of like abbreviate it in terms of like time. Cause when and granted, you know, I'm not a mother, right? So I'm a single woman. I have no kids. I'm not, so my morning ritual is going to look very different than a client who's got kids. Right. But so maybe instead of like the hour that I have, it's 20 minutes. Bless you.
Thank
It's
you.
20, it's, 20 minutes for you, whatever it might be. But
Yeah.
are we starting the day with some time to come into yourself and to get, to kind of start the day at home in you, or are you just hitting the ground with the phone in hand and going? Because
Oh.
then we're just starting the day with an uptick in
Mhm.
cortisol, and it just doesn't end from there.
Yeah.
So yeah, so really kind of working on non-negotiables and helping clients, women, to establish that and give them the permission to do so. I think that's
Mm,
the other really big piece, right?
absolutely.
Sometimes we just need to hear, you're allowed. You're allowed to
Mhm.
take 20 minutes for yourself in the morning. You're allowed to do that.
Yeah. God damn. I know.
Right?
I know. I wish I could tell you my business name because I'm so excited about it.
Are you birthing something new?
I'm birthing something.
Ooh,
Yes.
it's
I'm
exciting.
so excited. Yeah. I'm about to rebrand my podcast to make it match my business name too, which is so much. The Court of Connection was like this. It's great. I rushed I fell into this gift, and it was what it was. But the name now just I'll tell you offline. But
Okay. Oh, I'm excited.
I know I'm really, really excited. And we had a goals call yesterday that made me even more excited because I've been playing with like I don't mind doing one-on-one coaching, and I definitely will. But I love group coaching. I love group facilitation
Yeah.
too. And it was interesting because Laura C, I know you probably know her, but the coach was like, I felt this essence underneath when you were sharing like how dare I, say that I want to lead groups. And I was like, oh my God, that's so interesting because you see people like Alexi and Preston, and you're like, I mean, I couldn't, they put in years and it's like, yes, you could.
Yeah.
Absolutely you could. And what I want to do is not that,
Yeah.
it's something, it's smaller, but yeah, I'm really, really excited. I am hoping the goal is to have the full launch by June, but
Nice.
I anticipate having more of the unfolding before that. So
Yeah.
I'm really excited about
Awesome.
it.
Ooh, I'm pumped.
Yes.
I'm feeling the energy. I'm feeling the energy today.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
I'm so excited. Well, tell me something that's bringing joy and excitement into your life currently.
Mm. So much. I've been having I've been taking some extra time on the weekends because I work full time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I have been really dropping into such beautiful meditations, which have led to just really incredible writing and creative brainstorms and just like real juiciness of where I'm taking life in color, and then not only like presently, but also 2-5 years down the road, which is getting me all sorts of like juiced up and excited.
Yes.
Um, and I'm what's also just really alive right now is spring. Like this time of year is the new year for me, and
Yes.
I felt that shift like a couple weeks ago in the sense of, okay, baby, it's time. It's time. Yeah, I just I don't know how else to explain it other than I'm feeling very much in a space of, yeah, I'm fucking ready. If that
Yes.
makes sense. Like I'm ready.
100%.
Like I'm feeling really ready for this kind of next a level up.
Mm,
And I'm really pumped about it. And I'm not, I know that it's going to be hard and all those things, and it's also going to be beautiful, and it's going to be messy, and I'm allowing it to be messy. And it's going to be so colorful. Like I'm very, yeah. I mean, life, it is hard, but man, if you can pause and just really for just one moment, just think about what a miracle. Like, it's a miracle.
Yeah.
Like, you are a miracle. I'm a miracle. The odds of being here are so small.
I know. And being
So
us.
small. And being us.
Yeah.
And it's just like, wow. You know, I think just being alive right now is turning me on in ways that I've never really kind of felt before.
Yeah.
And it's exciting. It's exciting. And it's also a lot. Like, I also will say, I don't know if you relate to this, but it's a lot. Like, it's big.
It's
Like,
a lot.
it's big. And but I also am so grateful now that I can hold that.
Mm-hmm.
And Bridge and Extreme really helped with that too, right? It's like,
Yes.
I think I don't know if you relate to this, but I believe that we are less afraid of failure and more afraid of actually like what we are capable of. Like, 100%. Right? Like, the magnitude of what we are actually capable of, humans, I think scares us much more than, well, I'll speak for myself. I'll fail. I mean, I fail every day. And I'm like, okay, whatever. Like, no big deal. But success, or, you know, what I deem to be success, that's where, like, you start to really, okay, well, I can have that. Right. So once you start to get like really in tune with like your desires and your wants, it's like, ooh, now we're bubbling up.
Yes.
And yeah, but I love it. It's all turning me on right now.
I know. I feel your aliveness, and I'm just like feeding off of it. And I feel so similarly. And I just want to say this for anybody listening. Like, if you are afraid to name your desire, there's a problem. We have a problem. Like, I spent a lot of my life so afraid to name the big desires of my heart, you know, and felt like, who am I? And who are you not? You know, we are extensions of source, of God. Like, we did not come down here to play small. And so if you're playing small, like, my invitation is, don't let the rest of your life go by playing a small role in this big, beautiful, juicy life that has like infinite possibility, you know?
1,000%. 1,000%.
Yeah,
and you're not alone in feeling that way.
You're not alone. I spent most of my life that way, you know?
Yep.
And back to the permission word, it's like, we need permission. So there's your permission.
Yeah. You're welcome.
You're welcome. You have permission from little old me. Yeah.
I love it. Not little old you.
No, big old me.
Big old radiant,
big
magnificent Danielle.
Right. That's fucking right.
I love it.
So, Linda, where can everybody find you if people want to work with you or just want to follow you?
Yep. So I'm about to relaunch my website. So I'm going to give you that, lifeincolor.online. And then you can follow me on Instagram at Linda_lifeincolor. And I would love to connect.
Love. Oh my gosh. I'm so grateful we got to connect today. Beautiful. I feel excited about the rest of the weekend now.
Me too. I know.
Let's go. Spring is here. New Year is here. Frolic in the flowers. So.
Yes.
Thank you for your time. I love you dearly. And I really hope that I see you in Austin very, very soon, because I would love to take a dance class from you.
Yes. So. All right. Deal. Thank you so much for having me. This has been the perfect way to kick off a weekend and to end a Friday.
Yes, girl. All right. Until next time. Bye.